Hello everyone, it's Azurite N Trapppland. Today is May 2nd, 2022. I will be doing a ancestral boundary with a Nigerian slave trader descendant who happened to be the Alaafin of Oyo in Nigeria. I do not believe he is the last Alaafin of Oyo, but I do know that I would trace his legacy back all the way to even those in which the bloodlines sold family members into the transatlantic slave trade, as well as other slave trades that we discuss, such as slavery in Brazil after slavery was already abolished in the United States of America. Prior to starting this reading, I want to definitely say and state an ancestral prayer that I created to protect me from these living and deceased descendants of Nigerian slave traders and slave profiteers, as their entire legacy, heritage, and wealth has been built on the enslavement of African and Black people. Araba Obagodo Eclipse Ancestral Prayer. Ancestors known and unknown, Orishas, Loa, spirit guides, angels, and spirits whom support Azurite, in accordance to my HRH, Her Royal Highness, good. Please come and go by discernfully wielding your power, energy, and presence, not limited by oppression, bondage, or discrimination of any kind. Please bless my aura and aid it in protecting, nourishing, and empowering of my Ori. Rejuvenate my spirit. Ancestors restore balance to my mind, body, mood, dreams, Aj, currency, and soul. Ancestors, I, Azurite, Ganyana, ask that any ancestors belonging to, with a very firm, assertive boundary reinforced as necessary, Alaafin of Oyo, Obagado, Lamidi, Adeyemi, Lamidi, Olayawola, Atanda, Adeyemi. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right as a disclaimer, but I wrote it correctly so they know exactly what I'm talking about. And the house of Allah, Wolo Odu, Alowolodu, Oran Mayan, Oranmiyan, their family and ancestors who may harm me in any way be blocked from making contact with me, directly or by proxy. I ask that this prayer program any and all devices in the past, present, and future necessary to shield me and Voluto from any and all malice intentions and actions from these unsupportive people and ancestors. I, Azurite Ganyana, ask that any ancestors, people and ancestors, hold 1 second. I, Azurite Ganyana, demand that any ancestors, spirit guides, Orisha, Loa, entities, ghosts, poltergeist, demons, etc., belonging to Alaafin of Oyo, Obogado, Lamidi, Adeyemi, Lamidi, Olayawola, Atanda, Adeyemi, still don't know if I'm saying this correctly, assertive boundary reinforced. I demand that as time permits and progresses, recesses, that the tools and devices necessary to protect me and Voluto without harm or backlash of any kind. I, Azurite Ganyana, appreciate your compassionate, devoted support. Matilda Simmons, Robert Sean Collier, Majin Lomarlo, Money Magic, to name a few ancestors, Leroy, Oshun, Mashu, Valudo, Jeje, Voodoo, ancestors, Ayi, Bobo, Ashe, Amin, Namaste, Mojuba, and Laroy. I built a whole chart with all their ancestors on it. Okay. Now, I'm going to speak a few of their ancestors' names specifically to know and to state who I need protection from, as all of these individuals are the descendants, if not some of the original individuals that sold Africans and Black Americans into slavery, including my ancestors. Okay. Adeyemi the first, Alawolodu, the maternal mom, Idion Iyami Festa, the maternal dad, Inoji of Ego, Akalade, Ikaladederhan, Ogigo, Ogiegor, grandmothers, Arimwinde, Erimwinde. Now, before I keep going, the mothers of this ancestor, who is not an ancestor, it may not become an ancestor. Let me state that. Because I don't give a crap how many rituals you've done. The ancestors that were enslaved for you to have the lineage that you have the say-so of who becomes an ancestor and who does not. Because a lot of people of Ifa who are keeping the legacy of slavery alive have been giving offering and feeding these ancestors to re-enslave and torment Black Americans and Afro-Indigenous heirs such as myself, as well as aiding, supporting, and protecting human traffickers from Nigeria. The mother of this particular person, Oba Adeyemi Adina, I believe he is the third. His father is the second. His grandfather was the first. His mother was one of the only people that was named, and she still wasn't named all the way, and she was killed or something like that when he was a child. Olori Abironke, Abironke, Adeyemi, Adeyemi. All right, I'm not going to say anything else. Now, all of these individuals go back to Oduduwa, I believe is how you say his name, whom I met a guy whose birthday is 420, who says he's a living descendant of such, who claims to be a child of Ogun, whom also, whether he knows it or not, has had his foot out to F over Black Americans. Okay? Now, that made me sweat. Sweating in my good clothes. Got me sweating in my good clothes. All right. Now that I got that out the way, this man's energy is so crazy. He looked like a dwarf or a fae person or something like that. He looked like he wasn't human. Okay? He had his tribal markings and everything to try to make it seem like that man didn't look human. He didn't look human. He did not look like it looked like something was wrong with him before he died. I mean, just be honest with you. Like, and when I saw him, when I first saw his energy, because my ancestors had been guiding me to him, all right? You know what I'm saying? I was just like, bro, what is that? What is that? What is that? Like, they don't look human. I was like, bro, he gotta have something to do with slavery, because he just looked like he smells. He stinks like chains, feces, urine, and slave tears is what he smells like. It's what he smells like. I don't care how much cologne and fufu and goosey stew that you made, and none of it changes. He still smells like slave tears, feces, urine, and the blood of a whole lot of ancestors that was being kept and trapped so that he could have a whole bunch of wives. His father, I think his father or his grandfather had like over 200 wives, not followers. He had over 200 wives, allegedly, and it was saying that he was exiled from Nigeria. Like, these people are like a joke. Like, no. And then you know it's bad when your own people don't even want to be bothered with you. Like, they don't even respect you. They're like, these people need to go. Okay? Like, this person, like, he literally, his spirit or his body was sitting frozen outside my little in my little ancestral space the whole time his little funeral was going on. And I was just like, so y'all gonna have this weird, I didn't even know, bizarre looking Nigerian man's corpse just rotated and just frozen inside of my fucking ancestral altar space. Like, what the fuck? What the F is this? Why? Why do I need to give him? Y'all know I had to stay up all night to get this ancestral prayer done before they started the actual the public rituals for his funeral rites. They had already been doing spells and rituals already because he died on the 22nd. Oh, and that's another thing. So he died on the anniversary, transitioning to the anniversary of one of the biggest slave trading rituals. It's a 3-part series in slave trading history. This is when slave trading transactions went from like a few $1,000s for a family of slaves to like $20,000, $30,000, into the tens of thousands of dollars to sell human bodies. And these are American slave trader dates that I'm referring to. I don't even have many of any actual legit dates with times and stamps of years of slave trading bill of sales and transaction that took place with Nigerian slave trading heirs. But I do know without a shadow of a doubt, this particular Alaafin and his family were very much so one, if not the lead family in the slave trade that led to the transatlantic slave trade that sold hundreds upon thousands upon millions of African people into slavery across the globe. Why are we celebrating this? That is the problem with Nigerian people. There are too many influencers on the internet right now that continue to know this information. But what do? They feed these ancestors and they continue to keep the legacy of slavery alive. Why? And then you come to America. You want to come and sit at tables with Black Americans and act like you are one of our own and you are our ally or you are one of our people, but you are not. I do not care if you share the same skin as me. At no point in time will you understand or not understand that you will sit here, break bread and do ritual and laugh and make mockery and feed the enslavement of millions of African people and think that I will not call you out. That I would like you, that I would allow you to feed off my people. It is not going to happen. I do not care how powerful you think you are. You are nothing in comparison to how many ancestors walk with me and support me. And for me to be a survivor at the hands of human traffickers of Nigeria to this day, how dare you? Your legacy is a disgrace. Your ancestors are a disgrace. Your loved one that is now in a casket or wherever he is now is a disgrace. You make me sick. You make me sick. For all of my ancestors that were murdered at the hands of you, beat at the hands of you, imprisoned at the hands of you, tormented at the hands of you, you are a disgrace. And all of those whom I may not know by name, who have fed and supported you over these hundreds of, if not thousands of years, because you were enslaving my people before the transatlantic slave trade. You are a disgrace. A disgrace. Now let's talk about what planetary influences were going on that day, because they chose to do his funeral rites publicly on the eclipse. Okay. Now that I got all that huff and puff and stuff out of my system. For now. it's just that wasn't even enough. Like these people are so just horrible. Y'all have no souls. Have no souls. You're just vessels for entities that have been animating you, and I don't know how long they have been animating you. I don't know, but I'm not gonna waste my time trying to figure it out. My duty is to myself, and if I have any left over to my tribe that roll with me. Ancestors, we would like clarification for the energy that was being used regarding this funeral rites for this Alaafin of Oyo that is no longer deceased, who passed away on April 22nd, going into April 23rd, which happened to be the anniversary of a fancy girl trade transaction that is connected to 420 as a Masonic ritual. All right, I have Aquarius came up, Pisces came up. This funeral rite was at 10 a.m. Nigerian time, 1 a.m. American West Coast time, based on Sacramento, California, is which I used and based this off of. I've got Cancer placements, the asteroid of Eris, which can be reciprocal of rebellion as well as slave legacies, Mercury, communication of these legacies. So it seems like to me, the intention when he transitioned was to start airing out what they've been doing. I don't know if that was his intentions or somebody close to him had these intentions, but the intentions was for a lot of slave trading history and transactional elements to be revealed and exposed by this deceased individual. I would like to know, what do we as a collective need to know? The descendants of slaves, what do we need to know to protect ourselves that will keep individuals that would like to keep this slave legacy alive? What do we need to know about them to help us this become more public knowledge? To break down this disillusionment. What do we need to know? Breaking this disillusionment with Ifa, what do we need to know? Ancestors. Breaking the disillusionment. I need one card, ancestors. I can't do a bunch of them at one time. I need it to be one time, one for the one time. Breaking the disillusionment. Breaking the disillusionment. Okay, thank you. All right, I have the 9th house. All right, give me 2 more cards, ancestors. Give me 2 more cards. Supportive, well, and compassionate ancestors. Breaking the disillusionment of Ifa. Exposing these slave trader heirs. Taurus. Breaking the disillusionment. Breaking the disillusionment. Breaking the disillusionment to reveal the hands, the West African heirs, specifically the Nigerian heirs, living and deceased, that are in America and elsewhere, that are profiting, benefiting, and upholding the slave culture. Breaking the disillusionment. What do we need to know, ancestors? One at a time, ancestors. We can't take big stacks of. We need it one at a time. Tell them to grab a number, ancestors, if they got to. You know, we got to be discernful about how we going to get this information and deliver it to those that will watch these videos and need this information to continue the healing of their lineage and their bloodline, because it is time for us to heal. All right, Neptune. Okay. I'm going to do this like this. I'm going to put the Neptune, Eris, Mercury with 9 in projecting into the 9th house, Pisces, Aquarius, Cancer in the middle, and Taurus. Now, we talked about a particular heir of Oduduwa whom revealed themselves to us, and their birthday is 420. The Taurus came up in the reading as living heirs that are benefiting from the transatlantic slave trade. So this particular individual is still benefiting, and he shows it. He shows it because his loyalty are to the slave trader heirs. But he acts as if he messes with the descendants of slaves, but he just wants our support. And a lot of Nigerians in the cannabis space want our support, but they don't respect us. They don't care about our trauma. They don't care about our experience. Haitian heirs as well. Many of these Haitian heirs that do not care are some of the original heirs of those from Benin, which was previously Dahomey, who, when the division came where half of the royal bloodline was selling their family into slavery and okay with, and those were the individuals that were giving the clearance and doing the rituals for those in the community to be sold into slavery from that region. And then there were those in the bloodline that were under the impression that everybody in the family was on the same page, but they weren't. That is how the kingdom of Dahomey became raided and infested with slave traders in the first place. And even when they tell a story today, they say the slave masters claim as if they had nothing to do with it. When the West African heirs that took place in the slave trade knows all the roles of slavery. They had to have licenses to sell slaves. It was a whole organized business. It was a legitimate business. It wasn't janky and just all over the place. The slave trade was very organized. So the West African heirs that are giving you all this mumbo jumbo, making it seem as if they didn't know who was sold into slavery. When you go and get your Ifa stuff, they know then who sold you. Because they use Ifa and parts of voodoo to sell you. And the ancestors and the Orishas that could break slavery, they literally stopped feeding them. A lot of the Orishas that are now popular were literally the royal lineages of different tribes, and they stole their traditions and turned them into Orishas. The whole system of Ifa is corrupted. The whole system. The whole system's corrupted. Isheshe corrupted. They play this little nice role and tell you what not to do. Oh no, we never do ritual with blood, blah, 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 blah. We, only the fake babalawo, they will, play with blood and the ritual sacrifice. No, ritual sacrifice is old. Many slaves were kept just for ritual sacrifice, and there's a woman on here who stated that African women are slaves to their husbands still to this day. Slaves and wives were buried alive with the Alaafin or whatever royal lineage, slave trader, whatever. If you were a pillar of the community, tribe, society in Nigeria or any West African region, your slaves and those that were with you to support you were buried alive with you, animals included, to serve you in the next lifetime.
just as it did in ancient Egypt. That slave history lineage, it's been going on. Where do you think that the Egyptians were getting slaves from? They weren't just coming from Egypt. So for West African and Nigerian people to sit and pretend and act like they don't know about the slave trade is absolutely ridiculous and preposterous, and it's foolish. It's a lie. If there ever was one, it's a lie. And they know it. And the living heirs that actually have the gifts to communicate this know it too. So for you to sit and pretend like you don't know is foolish. Yes, my accent is coming out because y'all pissing me off. To sit here and degrade, demean, and make it seem as if my ancestors would sit and lie to me when your living heirs are still out here kidnapping, assassinating, human trafficking, and human sacrificing my people. No. I will not be quiet. I will not have respect for people who are not elders. They are just olders. That are not gone. One of many. Y'all have had at least, from what it said in the research that my ancestors had me do, y'all have had at least 5 Alaafins. I could be corrected. But more than one Alaafin has died over a 6-month time spent in Nigeria. Why do you think that's so? I don't think that's ever happened in history, where this many royal bloodline heirs are being either murdered or sick and deceased within a 6-month time span. Still trying to treat people in Nigeria like slaves. Still trafficking people. Still selling human bodies like you've been doing. So what's your excuses? None. You have no excuses. You know what you've been doing. You will be held accountable for what you've done, and you will not be an ancestor eating off anybody's altars anytime soon, Mr. Alaafin of oil. And all of your little oil and Alaafin friends from other tribes of Nigeria and elsewhere. You will not be eating ancestral ritual from nobody. I see to it. You will not be reincarnating either. All of you will be facing judgment if you're not already at the gates of judgment now. All of you, or reparations of whether it be physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, psychological, or any way, shape, or form in which my ancestors see to it, we will be getting our reparations with your aid, because your power is our power, my power, and I am coming to collect it. Ajay included. Ajay included. I found at least 20 cases in the U.S. alone where Nigerians have came and brought human trafficking victims to America to enslave them with horrible treatment, ranging from braid places, hair braiding shops, to restaurants and many other businesses, some of them even working as personal house slaves and sex slaves. Over 20 cases. 2 of these cases have been on BET Network and Essence Network, which are Black American news networks, reputable networks. But through your ritual enchantment and human sacrifices, including those of these national broadcasts, which Toby Obumseli's case showed me, that Trayvon Martin, Mike Brown, Sandra Bland, all these huge public executions of Black Americans were human sacrifices for ritual energetic gain of Nigerian Alaafin benefits. Yeah. Y'all want to play with me? Don't play. You can't. Y'all been murdering my people, allegedly. You've been using rituals from ancient times to control European white Americans to murder, assassinate, demean, degrade, and beat down Black Americans. But it's really been you behind it this whole time. You will not get away with any of this. And there's nothing that you will do to stop me. This is one of many that will be gone. Don't believe me? Just watch. And all your living heirs too. Ashu, we out, y'all. Seal, bound, protected. Thank you, Trayvon Martin, for making this information made available. Trayvon Martin is the ancestor who brought me this particular person's death and brought the connection that these spiritualists and families are responsible for his murder and many others not getting justice. Azurite N Trapppland. I'm signing out.